Good evening.
Okay, it's beyond time. I would like to call to order the Tuesday, March 3 regular meeting of the Mound Planning Commission. Sarah, can you do a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember Liaison McEnany.
Aye.
Commission Member Rosner.
Here.
Commission Member Baker.
Here.
Commission Member Wacker.
Here.
Commission Member Young.
Here.
And Chair Good.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you have before you the agenda that was sent to you by email. There are no amendments to these, to the agenda about which I'm aware. Having said that, Chair would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as distributed.
Motion to approve agenda as distributed.
Second.
Do I have a second? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving on, we have two sets of minutes. Let's do them separately. The first set of minutes is the Jan 6, 2026 regular meeting of the Mound Planning Commission. Are there any additions, deletions, or other changes to these minutes? Hearing none. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as distributed.
Motion to approve the minutes from the January 6th regular meeting as distributed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. You also have minutes of the February 17, 2026 concurrent special meeting of the Planning Commission with City Council. Are there any additions, deletions, or other corrections to these minutes? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as distributed.
Motion to approve minutes from the February 17th special meeting as distributed.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. We have no Board of Adjustment and Appeals issues tonight, so we move on to old/new business. The first is review and discussion of the 2026 Planning Commission work plan and staff project list. That's on page 7. And following any discussion we have, we need a recommendation to go forward to the city council. So has everybody had an opportunity to review the 2026 Planning Commission work plan and the 2026 staff list? Are there any additions, corrections, or other issues with regard to the commission work plan and the staff list? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the city council approval of the 2026 Planning Commission work plan and staff list as distributed.
Motion to approve recommendation for City Council, our 2026 Planning Commission work plan and staff list.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Mr.
Thank
Chair,
you.
may I make a comment on it?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to note, just on the list of the zoning code updates, just to give you a heads up of what the plan is, if that's okay?
Sure.
So we're talking tonight about corner lot setbacks, and the next step will be to prepare the ordinance. I anticipate doing the bullet 1, revise the ADA stall length. We didn't really need to talk about that, so that'll be part of that code. And then also the pet shop ordinances, we'll probably do that next, just because we have models that we can work off of. I wanted to note that the two other ones, the front yard and side yard exterior storage requirements, Sarah and I did talk about that, and we're gonna pause until staff gets on board, because they're adding staff that hopefully will help with code compliance, and so we wanna see what we learn from that exercise before we go in and make those adjustments. So just so you know, we talked about it, we thought about it. And then the residential use table, I wanna wait until we're into the residential discussion about if we're going to change things or not change things relative to densities, because depending on what that discussion is, it may influence the table, so rather than doing it twice. So you will see the first, the third, and the fifth sooner than the second and the fourth because of other things happening. So just an update on schedule that we talked through all of those before tonight to try and see. We may have with the corner lot setbacks, we need to change some other things with yard. Not that we're getting rid of it, we're just trying to make that section work a little better. So things might get reorganized. So you'll probably see that as part of the corner lot setbacks. So I just wanted to note the schedule so that you guys kind of knew what the plan was. So thank you.
Questions for Rita?
Do we know what the time frame for the new enforcement staff is?
I believe the 12th.
Yes, our new staff
Oh,
member
this
will be
month.
starting March 12th.
Oh, great, very soon.
And as Kevin Kelly reminded me today to manage my expectations, this new staff person we're getting will be keeping the complaints moving along. So people that have issues and complaints will be followed up with much more quickly than prior to this. We still will only have Andy as our one part-time compliance officer. But part of our issue has been that there has been no follow-up with people. You know, when they call in with a complaint or with something to be looked at, it kind of falls into the gray area or off the radar altogether. So we're really hoping that this will help keep things moving along. And hopefully we'll know, you know, hopefully within a couple months, because summer obviously is a big time for complaints and things such as that, blight, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully within a couple months, we'll have some reassurance that this is working.
Okay. Questions or comments about that? Okay. Review/discussion corner lot requirements.
So this item was something we discussed in April of 2025. It had been identified as a result of some of the variance cases that we had where there was there was some confusion between the way that the code is written and also just concern that we maybe didn't have it quite clear on how it would be applied. At that meeting in April, just to remind you, the direction from you all was that the provisions are fine, it's just a little confusing to apply, which didn't help the public, ourselves, and you in interpreting it. So we took that information. One addition that you will see that we made is to use the term street side lot, meaning a lot line that's next to a street. In the past, the way that we had done it is that we had said if you are a corner lot, you have to have a front yard on both corners, but then for application of the lot designations, we only have one front yard, so it was kind of confusing to apply. So we went through and added the street side lot line, that's the first change that you see on page 8, is to establish that to help clarify when we apply the corner, what thing we're actually applying, like where is it going to be applied. There is a graphic that was in my presentation that if I can pass around if that helps you, if anybody has questions. Though this small, you probably can't read it. So that's the idea. Sorry, I was just like, I can't read it, so you guys probably can't either. If you have questions, I can explain that a little bit better. Then on page 9 at the top, what we have done, I tried to put this in the order that it made sense in my brain rather than the order that it's in the code. So then the next page at the top, we revised the language of the corner lots to clarify that the minimum street side yard setbacks match the front yard setback unless it's a corner lot of record. And that's where the code has a relief, is just if you are a lot of record. So if you are a new lot, you have to apply the same standards. If you're a lot of record, there's a little bit of relief, and that's the table below. And these, again, the numbers generally they have not changed. The adjustment is, if you look below, I kind of included the table you could see. I'm trying to write it a little bit better than we wrote it before. So less than 50 feet. So if it's 49.95, you're in the first row. If you're 50, you're in the second row. And that's not really clear in how we wrote it in the past. So that is one of the reasons for the verbiage change. I'd also note that it says match the front yard setback requirement, which is based on lot depth, which is maybe confusing, but then you can go to the table and follow through. And what that does is it allows you to have 24 feet and 30 feet, so we can adjust how much the setback is for lots that have a fairly large front lot line. And then we did also in the wording to try and make it, we clarified number 3 is just that the setback for we typically use the word interior side yard, but I don't think it's intuitive, that's just a planning term. So we just said the setback for the side yard that is not a street side yard, to clarify that you have to follow the normal standards. So hopefully that makes sense to all of you. It's always a little hard to write these in a way that makes sense.
Okay, let's stop for a minute.
Yeah.
Questions for Rita? Okay, hearing none.
It looked like Councilman McEnany was thinking. She had that look on her face.
Well,
like
without
she
a
was gonna say
visual, I
something.
am thinking, and I didn't bring my laptop, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to review these back when I get
Yeah.
back to the office.
Do you
and-
need this in front of you, the code? Because I have the presentation, which has the same information. Here's the part of the packet.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's hard to listen to me talk.
So I guess I
No,
had
it's not hard to
two
listen
questions.
at all.
Where did it say this is only applicable to lots of record?
Originally, you mean?
Is it now or only originally and now we're taking that off?
No, it says under 1, if you read, it says the minimum street side yard setback for corner lots shall match the required front yard setback, except that corner lots of record shall provide the following street side yard setbacks. It's at the end above the table. The last phrase above the table itself. Is that what you're looking for? Because maybe I misunderstood.
Oh, I was looking up in the descriptions up above.
In the definitions?
Yes.
Yeah, nope, the definitions just define. This is where it says.
Okay. And then down the bottom where it says the setback for the side yard that is not a side street yard shall follow applicable. Should you also just call that the lot line side? 'Cause that's what the definition was above?
Oh, you mean,
There, you
so
have,
call it the side.
you have lot line front, lot line side street, and lot line side defined.
So the question is whether we use yard or lot line. That's a good point, and I will look back at all of those to try and make sure it makes sense.
And then your definition of lot line side means any boundary of a lot line that is not a front lot line or a rear lot line. It should be or a lot line side street, right?
Well, you can have
Street side?
Yeah, you can have a street side, but that's where I was.
Lot line side, though, is if
It
it's
could
not a
be
street
either.
side, not a front, and not a rear, right?
I hear what you're saying, and I will think about that.
Yeah, okay.
That goes back to my whether I want to define a side yard and then have a street and an interior, so that it's
Right.
like, because since street side includes side, I'm hesitant to not have it be that. Does that make sense to you? But your point is well taken, so I will think about that. That's why we need new folks to look at this, because I've been doing it too long now.
And then in the spirit of clarifying edge cases, do we ever have lots that have parallel streets on two sides that aren't a corner? And does that matter?
They would still be a corner. Do we have, knowing Mound,
You
it
would,
is possible that we have
so you would
that
have two
someplace.
street sides,
Yes.
basically.
Generally, we don't see them. We usually see it front and back as
I
a
suppose-
through lot.
Yeah,
Those could be a
But-
variance if we need.
But,
I
no,
mean,
you'd
I-
still have two street sides.
Okay.
I'm on kind of that situation where I would have two streets, but one side is not the street, it's the lake. So I sit sideways and I have one street here and then the lake.
Garden and Grove, there's a house there that's got it front and back.
There's a lot of lots like you have
Yeah.
that have a street, and then the lake, so they kind of have three things that are
Yeah,
impacted.
and I'm on a dead end too, and I'm guessing most of them are as
But-
well, but
I would guess, I would never say never here, and there's probably someplace that is
Yeah.
like that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
on the island for sure.
Yes, edge cases are my specialty.
Kitty Wonkus.
Yeah, but Commissioner Baker, your point is well taken of like, how do I want to do that? So we'll think about that. Because I hesitate just to say that a side yard is not a street side, like a street side yard is not a side yard, because it is. So Then maybe it's a side yard, and then underneath it are street side and whatever I want to call the other one,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't seem like they're not. And then on the other one, your point about, do we want, I was following the language that originally was in the code about the yard, but maybe it's clearer to say lot line as opposed to yard, is what I'm hearing you say.
That's what I was thinking, yes, but I don't.
Because it is actually the yard, the setback for the side yard, it is the yard, that creates that. But I think those are points that I'll look at as we develop the drafts. That's why we have this in front of you before a public hearing, is to get those thoughts, and then we can study it a little bit more.
Okay, more questions?
Any others, because the conversation is good.
Are there any cases where we care about the corner, like, this is not an edge case, but I'm wondering just about like corner visibility sightlines?
There is a provision in there that talks about sightline visibility. Because we weren't changing it, I didn't include it in your
Okay.
language. So when you, what I think, my hope, is that we'll give you the entire 197, or 129, 197, and in there is that
Okay.
case. And in my PowerPoint, I had a slide, so if you want to see it after, I can show you what was in my slide that showed it to you in case you asked me the question.
So we have some existing coverage of sightline requirements, and
You
then
have
this is
that.
really more clarifying different scenarios with respect to roads on corners.
Yeah, this is really about the fact that it was, almost felt like it was a loop, like a circular reference that had happened before, and was confusing because it switches from lot depth and lot width being important depending upon whether we're talking about principal or accessory structures. So we were trying to make that less confusing, especially when we had two front yards. Because we had two front yards, but then we didn't really have two front yards, and so that's why we went to the street side yard to try and differentiate that a front yard is a front yard, and a street side yard is something different, and what those setbacks are. It's still confusing. So I recognize that it's not. With lots of record and regular lots, it's hard to make it easier because you have so many exceptions. Mr. Baker?
So I had another question before
Yeah.
that. You guys didn't change the language, but we had talked about it before, was what's the front? So the way it's written here right now, if it, in the case of a corner lot, it shall be the shortest dimension on a public street or otherwise designated by the community development director based on practical front yard.
Yep.
But then down below after that it says, if the dimensions of the corner lot are equal, the front line shall be designated by the owner and filed with the city. So does the owner override what the community development director says if they want to decide which the front yard?
If it's equal, and which is pretty rare. I don't think I've ever seen that case. We could get rid of
Well,
that.
I'm also curious why we don't like let the owner decide or
We wouldn't
make a
want,
petition? Well, you let the owner decide on the other one.
because they're equal and there isn't the impact in the same way, whereas they could decide something that we don't think is good in order to have a better setback. The biggest reason that people care about it is, where do I need my 15-foot rear setback? And people will choose things which may not actually be what makes sense or the practical for protecting the adjacent property owners. So I definitely feel like I would advocate, ultimately up to you, advocate that the community development director gets to make the final decision on those things. Because someone can appeal it if they don't like what she does, or,
So that's what I was thinking.
yeah.
And then I was also thinking
But if
that,
the equal one, I mean, we could just get rid of that provision. We've never applied that one. We've applied the other one, where we've decided what's the front, based on what
well,
makes the most
that's what I was,
sense.
I'm like, can you just get rid of that
Yeah.
other one?
Yeah, we can.
And then, like, I would also advocate for, if the community development director is determining it, filing that with the city.
What does that mean?
Well, I don't know, it says, if the owner decides, it will be filed with the city, which is the front and which is the side.
So,
If the community development director decides, I would like, shouldn't it also be filed with the city?
well, we don't have to say that, because if it's a variance, we'll do it in the variance case, so we'll write down, like, this is the front, this is the side. If we think it's confusing, we actually do write memos to the file that say when we make decisions that will impact into the future.
Is that what filed with the city means?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just something that goes in the property records file. So if you call and you want to do something, we often will pull the property records file to see whatever documentation it is. I don't know if we've documented what is the front, other than part of a variance case, but we've done other things. So an easier example, just to give you an illustration, which is not related to what you just asked, but the library found when their foundation survey is off like less than an inch. And we have the ability to approve it with that, but we didn't just do that, we made a record of that in their property file it says, PUD amendment was done, this is the reason, we checked it, this is how much it is, so that if someone goes down in the future and they're like, why is it not 20 feet? There's records. So we do that with cases when we need to document that. And that's to us what it meant to file, in my mind, is that it gets in the property records, so we know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I don't know that we need to say that community development director will put it on file, unless you feel like it's an,
Doesn't seem like it would hurt so that someone would read and go, oh, well, if I don't know which mine is, I would go talk to the community development director.
yeah, I guess that's what people do,
Yeah.
is they call and ask, like, what are my setbacks? And then we go through the exercise of having that conversation.
And if you have the conversation on the phone, do you actually file it that day?
I don't know, because I don't usually do that, that one I would not do,
Right.
Sarah would do that. So I can ask her.
Yeah, because it seems
But
like,
usually it's fairly obvious, because that's how the building setbacks get set for whatever project you're working on. But I can ask her. So I better write this note better. So the front,
I also like simplifying the decision rights.
yeah. And there's probably never one where it's exactly down to the inch. Same size all the way around.
I don't remember having a conversation. The ones that we've had have been, when I have a conversation with Sarah, it's when the longer side is actually the practical front and not the shorter side, which is what it should be if you're gonna do a designation, and then we put it where it makes sense, based on where the house is currently. Where the door is, where the garage is, where the driveway is, how it sits on the lot, where we think that the properties that are to the side or to the rear need to be protected. That's what we take into consideration, is what is the protection level that is needed for the property, as well as where do they access the front door and the driveway. So, and where's, is there a slope? Because sometimes there's a slope, and so it doesn't make sense, that's not really the front. We have those conversations. Are there a lot of trees? I mean, there's all kinds of factors that go into that determination. Awesome. What else? Otherwise I can keep going. I'm glad that you stopped, Mr. Good. So the next sections, when it references 129-100, that's the individual zoning district, the R1 district. And so there were some adjustments that need to be made just to make it a little bit clearer about how it works. And again, it's just trying to reference back to this corner yard section. And then I adjusted the table just to make the numbers make sense, not because there was any change. When we had talked before last April, you didn't want to make a change after everything we had looked at. And then clarifying that it is one of the side yards would be 10 feet, and then the other one is based on the chart below. Similarly,
Can I make a recommendation?
sure,
Where it says lot width, you should probably change it to front lot line length, same as the table above, right? Because that's what you're saying. If the front lot line is less than 80 feet, then it's 6 feet.
yeah, I think so. I'm gonna think about that.
Versus just lot width and lot depth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the only reason I'm hesitating is that lot width isn't actually measured at the front lot line. It's measured back from the front lot line. So if you, for example, if you have a cul-de-sac and it comes to a point, we don't measure at the actual front lot line, we actually measure so many feet back, and that's what the lot width is. So if we do that, then,
Okay.
so that's the only reason, I remember hesitating on the front lot line length, whether that was the right term or not. So this conversation helps me think, oh, I should go back and really think about that part too. But consistency may make it less confusing.
And then just to be clear, the owner gets to choose which side is 6 feet and which side is 10 feet or whatever, right?
Yes, other than, my only exception is that we don't want you to have a variance on both sides, so sometimes it's already dictated by where your house is placed.
Right,
Does that make sense?
yeah.
So, we don't, we don't want you to put it at 6 feet and then get a variance so you can be at 6 feet on the other side. So if you have a 10-foot, you can't pick that one and have a variance to that one and make the other one. Does that, like, you have to do the one that is the minimum first, and then, so it is not totally up to you. Does that make sense to you? So if you picked I didn't explain that well. So if you had to do a 6 and a 6, and you already had 10 feet, I wouldn't let you put the addition on so you have a 6 on one side and then ask for a variance to get to 6 on the other side. Like, you have 10 feet, that's your 10-foot,
So you're saying if you had a 5 and a 9, you'd have to do 2 variances?
potentially.
And that's just governed by our minimum variance principle in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's the idea of you should be minimizing, so. I mean, there's special circumstances.
just curious,
say
yeah.
those things and someone's gonna come in and there's topography and what I just said goes out the window, so. Generally, when we look at assigning it, we assign it based on what's already in place and trying to minimize the need for variances or the need to like have it go less. Anything else on that one? Or on the front yard setback? If not, on the next one, 129-101, which is the R1A, and the 129-102, R2, those are structured differently. And so we kept the similar structure. The difference with these is that they already have smaller setbacks, so they only refer back to the corner yard setback. They don't have these exceptions like the R1, given the fact that their minimum lot sizes are 6,000 versus 10,000. They just have smaller setbacks, so there isn't a need to have quite the exception rule that the R1 lots do. So it just refers back to the corner lot. And then on the accessory buildings, 129, 194, we were just trying to clarify. It used to say that you had to meet the front yard setback requirements for principal buildings. Ooh, that's the wrong principal. And so we just have changed the word to say street side yard setback. Again, we're trying to not use front yard because it was confusing.
Questions about that?
Hopefully. We'll see if this makes it better. My hope is yes, the next time we have one of these. What else anything else people see?
So the general goals of this update is potentially reducing variances and having more administrative,
The biggest goal is to make it easier to understand, because we really struggled with it when we've had structures, and we had at least 2 different variance cases where it was confusing because we had to deal with it both for a principal and an accessory, and there's terminology that overlap each other. And so it was mostly about clarification based on our discussion last April when we really dug into it. And ultimately you all said, actually, the setbacks are fine, it's just confusing. So I don't know if it will reduce anything other than confusion or errors, because I think we made an error in one of the variance cases because it was too hard to follow where it went.
makes sense.
Yeah. Any other? So the next steps is we will take the conversation today, create an actual ordinance or language for you, and hold a public hearing, because we have to hold a public hearing. And as I said at this earlier, the same time, I'd like to do the ADA stall length, because that's to remind you just what that was we had discovered that the language in the parking section is not following current standards. It used to be that like the length of the stall was important, and now it's more important to do the side areas that are marked off. So the stall width and length are the same, but they have that extra kind of movement in and out area. So we need to update the code for that. And then the humane pet one, we'll probably have you see it, but not do a public hearing on that. We did pull examples from other communities. It looks like they're all very, very similar. So somebody had the first one and lots of people are using it, which is pretty normal and customary. So we'll bring that to you probably at the same time and just have you look at that. The city attorney did ask us to look at that language, which is about what you can sell, and then also just operational. He said one of the other cities he works with has ordinance is about just making sure the operations work, so we're just trying to make sure that we have that pulled together. So those will be coming up.
And is that in response to the resident who?
Yeah,
sent
we
us
had that as a work plan item, and since a code already exists,
Okay.
we pulled 8 or so of them, and they're pretty similar to each other.
Well, in her email, she had sent that code, which I'm sure you're stating is
Yeah,
the same as a lot of.
right. And then I had found
Cities.
online a list of of a bunch of other cities, so we know who are the other cities. There's 15 in this state, and I think we don't know the names of all 15, but as I said, I think my staff pulled like 8. And they're all very similar, so we'll just use that as a basis.
Great.
The biggest thing that does, it looks like I just reviewed one of them quickly. It basically implies that you use animal rescue or other things to sell animals. In a pet shop, you don't actually sell like dogs and cats. It's the idea that from what I can see, that's what it does, is it doesn't allow you to actually sell animals in your pet shop. It allows you to partner with rescue organizations so they can bring in animals for whatever, a day or like that kind of event, but you don't actually host animals on an ongoing basis.
And is it dealing with the puppy mills, which that email?
That was the reason they've done it, yes.
Okay,
But it doesn't say that. It says, you're not allowed to sell them. You are allowed to partner with animal rescue organizations or humane societies to have events where you can sell those, that kind of idea. But you'll get a chance to see it before we make a decision if you want to move forward with that or not.
great, thank you.
And you weren't here. That was at the
Yeah.
joint meeting.
Oh,
There was
yes.
a resident that had
Makes sense.
approached council members on seeing if the city would consider adopting an ordinance such as that.
And is there a specific project or just we're?
It's just in general, they're trying to get more so to prevent them from being started in the community.
Makes sense.
And this resident had reached out to us more than once. So it seemed like the perfect time to bring it up at our joint meeting.
True.
So,
And
And I-
talking to a friend of mine in Dallas, this is a national network initiative.
And
okay,
I probably would need, my gut, or my thought was that there aren't that many in Minnesota, pet stores left that do this. I was gonna say a number, but I don't know if that's right, but they wanna see these in cities. And the cities range from Twin Cities suburbs to, northern Minnesota. So it's kind of, I think, where they have people that are interested in reaching out to their councils to do. So we'll bring that back, but not as a public hearing. We'll bring it back as here's what this says. Does that work for the city?
well, thank you for diving into that so quickly.
Yeah, it's nice when there's already an existing one.
Yeah.
That makes it
That's
lots
not-
easier. So I don't have anything else. We don't need a motion relative to that, just need the direction.
Further questions for Rita? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank
Let's
you.
move on. City Council Liaison, Kath, you have anything?
I do, and forgive me, I've got to read off my phone, because much like this TV, my printer was not speaking to my computer at the end of the day. Rita, you weren't at our council meeting.
Correct. There was not.
So I just wanted to bring up that the council did have a concept presentation from the Harrison Bay Group, who are looking to purchase the Huber Funeral Home for a 55 and over 3-story, 72-unit rental apartment building. And it was just a concept presentation. Some of the concerns were that, our fire department and OPD as well also are heavily burdened by fall calls, residents that need assistance.
Help getting up.
Yes, help getting up. And the man who did the presentation did say that they provide an employee on site that actually takes care of falls. And we did ask for a little bit more information when they come back here and then back to the council. That was a big concern. Another concern to many of us, me always, because if I could have a no taller than 2-story in Mound, I'd be happy, but too much density in that particular area, backing in and coming in and out right by the school with all the traffic. there was a comment that maybe if they took it, because they're trying to mirror the senior living home, the assisted living, they're trying to mirror that. So one comment was to move the whole thing back, because right now it's closer to the street than Huber is. So move it all back and create, rather than big, long string of, rental apartments, to make an L shape and then move it back so it isn't so obvious from the road. So we'll see if they do anything with that. But I think the next stop would be coming here. I don't think we left them with a, yeah, we're thrilled, or no, we aren't in agreement with you, but they did take our notes for feedback, and we'll see what they come back with. And then this coming Saturday night, just a reminder that March 7th is the Beat Hunger Bash at the Gillespie Center. It's always a lot of fun. It's $65 is the ticket price, with Greg Sletton and Selmer Effect playing, and that is from 6:30 to 11. And then also at the Gillespie Center next Saturday, March 14th, is the 15th annual Northwest Tonka Lions Club Chili Cook-Off, and that's between the Lions Club and our Mound Fire Department. And that starts doors open at 11 o'clock. That's also always a fun one. And the proceeds for that go to Northwest Tonka Lions and the organizations that they support. And then in closing, next Tuesday at our council meeting will be our annual State of the Water. So if anybody's interested in seeing what we've got cooking, that's a good meeting to come to. But we're also going to be having kind of a information night in April. I believe it's Thursday night, April 22nd. Don't quote me on that, but it's either Thursday, we're still kind of working on it. But we'll also be having a big water presentation that night. So we'll see if we get a big crowd, rather than just all the complaints floating around the community. We'll see if they actually show up and hear
And is
what's,
that the following Thursday?
That's
So
this-
this Thursday?
the State of the Union is, our annual is just at our council meeting.
Okay, so that's the 10th, right? March
Yes,
10th? Okay.
yes. And then the actual information night that we're having, that will be covering all kinds of topics related to Mound. It's kind of a new, lack of a better term, State of the Union. It's new. We're going to have that again. I believe it's that Thursday, the 22nd.
Thursday's the 23rd.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
so it's Thursday, the 23rd, because we didn't want to do it on Wednesday night because of
So that's
religion.
the same day as the city?
Is this,
It's
No.
April.
It's April.
April.
Okay, thank you. I
The
was
State of
looking
the
at
Union will
March.
be April, and then.
Okay.
and that's the open house?
Yes, that'll be an open house.
Okay.
Oh, that's the same thing. God,
That's the
okay,
same thing,
gosh.
yeah.
Okay.
The State of the Union / open house, that's in April.
I'm like, it's the same day as the open house.
Yeah, right, and that's what you got your
Yes.
Okay.
Name takes.
name
forever.
takes for, because we'll have, you guys will be wandering around, and there might be people that want to have conversations with you. We'll be excited for that. We'll go, there's the planning group, go run on over and have a chat. But we're looking forward to that night. We're thinking it'll be really informational for the residents, so. And that's all I got.
Okay.
Say, Kathy,
Quick.
do you know if any of the flats have sold?
At this point, I don't believe so. I know the last we heard, Rita, maybe you've heard more.
No, I don't know
Is
any
that the
information.
open house that we were all at was really successful. And I think they're really targeting snowbirds
Yeah.
for that, and a lot of the snowbirds are in warm climates, so
Away from the
They
hopefully
haven't
it'll
flown
pick
back yet.
up, as they start moving back to Mound, and hopefully they sell, because they're beautiful.
Yeah.
I could never live there because I'd have to get rid of 95% of my stuff to live cleanly and beautifully in there. So, but they're really nice. So we've all kind of asked that and haven't actually heard the numbers. So as soon as we do, I'll pass it on. Keeping
Okay,
our fingers
questions for
crossed.
Kath?
It could be the time of year.
That's what we all think it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was when they built on the island, the condos over there. I can't think of the name of them,
Yes.
but I remember they were a little slow
Slow in the winter.
to get that interest into, so it could just be the seasonal.
Villages of Island Park.
Thank you. I drive by it every day and you'd think I'd remember the name.
And it turned out really nice. And you're right, the open house was the end of October, and then all of a sudden the holidays, so people move out. So we're hoping spring will be new renewed excitement and lots of purchase power going on over there. And that's what I've got.
Okay, thank you. All right, next meeting, I believe, is April 7. That's the first Tuesday in April at 6 PM. And again, reminder of the open house, April 23, 6 to 8 PM at the firehouse. Everyone is encouraged to attend. Other issues? Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a
Second.
motion, we have a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you for coming.